Hey everybody, welcome back. So, the story that I have to tell you today is about this grave right here. This is Wesley Wheless. Now, Wesley's grave is a pretty simple grave here. You can see it's an obelisk with some nice writing. It has his initials as a footstone and his lovely wife here as a footstone. And so when you walk by, you really wouldn't think much of it. But let me tell you about this grave. So you can see here, he was born in Montgomery County in 1823 and he died in Liverpool, England in 1861. Now it's the England part that's going to become most interesting to you guys. So William, he was a banker and he did really well for himself. He did so well that he actually built the only Gothic mansion here in Nashville. And that Gothic mansion used to sit along the Cumberland River. Now it's not there today anymore. It's been torn down, but he lived there with his lovely wife. And she's actually known to have written letters back home to her family and said, "You would not believe, we have the most beautiful collection of books here. In fact, it is considered the epitome of good manners and good breeding to have this particular collection of books." So life is going along great for them, y'all. I mean, it's just going great. And they have their beautiful mansion. He has his banking business. Money is flowing. And then there was a huge bank crash here in Nashville. Well, when that happened, he lost a lot of his money. So he got himself together and he headed on over to England. And he said, you know what, I am going to start my business over again in England. And that's what he did. So he took off for Liverpool. And he was over there. And he was actually doing pretty well. He took his wife and his child with him. And they're making life over there. And they're starting over. And things are going pretty well. Nobody's really got any big complaints. Life's going good. For a little bit. And then Wesley unfortunately contracts typhoid and dies. He dies April the 3rd of 1861. Now in 1861, the U.S. is going through what? Yep, we're really close to the Civil War at that point. So bringing a body back from England to be over here to, in fact, be buried, not really going to happen, is what they tell Miss Susan. They say, that's really not going to happen, hon. I'm so sorry. We hate it for you, but we're not going to be able to do that. So Miss Susan says, oh, that's cute. I am going to take my husband home, and I'm going to bury him back in Nashville because that's where we're from. So she knows that they're not going to allow her to ship him back the way that they should, so she starts thinking and devising and plotting, and she has to do it quick. She's got to use her wits about her. She's got a small child, and now her husband's gone, and she needs to get him home. And she also needs to get herself home, back to their mansion, back to security of where she is in Nashville. Fortune or no fortune, they still have money and she can still survive. So she's got to come up with a plan. And she does. She comes up with a plan that she goes out and she buys herself a piano box. Okay, you're thinking, piano box? That's nice. Why? Well, let me tell you why. So she goes out, she buys that piano box. And then she takes and she fills that piano box with salt. Y'all, salt is a natural preservative. So she puts in his body, she puts some salt down, she puts his body in, she puts some more salt down, she has that piano box sealed. Well, then they get on a ship, and y'all, it isn't like today where we can be somewhere in a few hours. No, those voyages, they took a little bit. But she puts him in there and she thinks, this is going to preserve him well enough and keep the odor down well enough, and we're going to make it home. Well, they're out at sea, and some strange things start happening. So she and the rest of the passengers start looking off the back of the ship, and they start noticing that, well, the ship's being followed by the sharks. Why in the world would the sharks be following them? I mean, it's not like they have any dead amongst them, right? At least not that they knew of. She doesn't say a word. Those sharks follow them almost all the way back here to the U.S., where she has that piano box shipped here. Again, mum's the word. Quietly, she inters Mr. Wesley here in Mount Olivet. And it wasn't for about 50 years after. It wasn't till about 50 years after. She kept her secret. She lived in that mansion for 10 years before she sold that beautiful Gothic mansion. Wesley rested here. 50 years later, it came to light that she had put him in that piano box. And that's why the sharks were following her. So, that is the reason that today, Mr. Wesley and his lovely wife actually lay here in peaceful repose in Mount Olivet. Wouldn't ever believe that story, would you? Unless you were here and you knew that that is the story that lies beneath here. I hope you guys have enjoyed hearing about the history from the past. If you do, please give it a thumbs up and comment, like, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great day. Bye.